business that winter was terrible because it seemed like it was storming every single weekend, and so we were looking forward to a good spring, and then of course the river was starting to break up, and we even had a couple of deck days, and then all of a sudden that April storm hit and just sent everybody for a loop. And I guess everybody was kind of stunned at that point. We were in Bemidji or Crookston and the surrounding communities watching the news, and I'm sure that the people that were in those communities knew more about what was going on than we did, because we were just kind of walking around with blank stares almost after getting booted from our house and our businesses. But as the realization set in over the next few days, I came back and helped the city, get back on its feet, and volunteered for the city. And it kept everybody busy. It kind of, that as much as anything, I think, kind of set the wheels in motion for me to do a recovery. It kept me busy, it kept me involved, and that was very helpful. It was, and this was my first taste at business too. I mean, I had worked at Whitey's for 20 years, and this was my shot, and by golly, I was going to do anything I could to keep that shot going, and my partners were meeting and saying, well, should we just cash it in? And I said, no. I think it was a can-do attitude, I really do. In some cases it was futile, but they started doing it anyways, just, I think they needed something to do. And it got the ball rolling. I mean, between getting your home cleaned out and your business cleaned out, I mean, it was a chore, and we just kept going. I think you did some crying, did some crying sometimes, and then got back together and went back at it. So it was a bit of normalcy in their lives. I think that was a large part of it. I really do. You're in your house working all day, or elsewhere doing anything in flood recovery, and to be able to come down to the Blue Moose in the midst of shambles in downtown East Grand Forks, you walked in the door and it was like things are normal here. So it was a part of the life that they were missing, and it was a summer where I think everybody needed a bit more of a distraction. So perhaps the socialization aspect at least gave them a place for that. Well, I think in terms of the nightlife in East Grand Forks, I think that was mainly Whitey's and the Antique back then. We decided to start and establish our identity as a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we have continued to do. Any bit of bar business we've done has always been kind of a plus. And I've tried to make, with this latest remodel, I've tried to kind of bring the bar into play a little bit, but yet I don't want to become one of those places, those meat marketplaces. I just don't want to become.
Sure.
I want to be that place where they come for a quiet beverage and a place to get away from the hubbub of the heavier drinking places, to be quite honest with you. I just don't want to become that, and I want to focus on food. That's my main goal. But you just don't go into a business, thinking you're going to fail. I just never even consider that, and it might show a lack of intelligence of it, but I just never envisioned the failure. I just did not. If I got afraid, then I just work harder. And that first year, it was close. It was very close, and I would not sleep at night. I would go home and just say, I'm sorry, But at that point, I just said to myself, you know what? If you're going to go down, you're going to go down. Try it. Cabela's was a big addition to the whole equation as well. And since the theaters come in, it adds another piece of the puzzle. So I think the synergistic effect that each business has had on each other has allowed it to grow into what it is today. We made the jump right away, and there was enough customer base to justify that, I felt, back then. And it certainly would have been tough to have 4 restaurants right here without Cabela's. I just don't think it would happen. The city fathers really took it upon themselves to encourage as well, and they kind of stepped up to the plate in terms of with low interest loans and things like that, and some incentives. Because, you know, we more than doubled our debt load, but it would have been a lot more than that to do what we did, and it would have been impossible at that point, I think. So the city was a definite factor there as well. You know, I think what they're doing with housing in the downtown is part of that. I really do. It's becoming an entertainment center, and the students can go from place to place without having to worry about driving from place to place. I think that's a big plus in their eyes. To be quite honest with you, I'd like to see a little less of the heavy drinking that's going on. It's disturbing to me in some regards. In some respects, we kind of try to price ourselves out of that market a little bit too. We don't want to. You know, we do have specials, but we don't have the specials so cheap that they're going to get, sure, you know, drunk on fun on $10.